So we talked about SICK Growth ModelOps staff meeting for May 25th or 26th if you're in APAC. We talked about one confidential topic first, and now we're going to discuss the second one that we in the list. Thomas couldn't make it today, and I actually asked him to put this on the list anyway. So I'll verbalize. So from the development staff meeting, OKR retro for Q1. I'm not going to read through all of this, but some things to note is we did quite well on across engineering and what we're doing with cloud licensing, reliability and security burn down, improving system usability scores, manager training, okay on geographic diversity, which I know more about that one because I got ownership of it 1 month into the quarter, transferred from a different owner. So we made some progress there, but not enough in my opinion. Customer empathy, did okay on customer empathy journeys. Improving the MR rate, not as well, but we know why. We were just too ambitious on it. And hiring, we did quite well. Some things that went well, the free user strategy, cloud licensing, we talked about this. Let's see, hiring, customer empathy. So the things that didn't go as well, some of the things under free user strategy, it had many false starts and a lot of confusion. Reliability and security, we maybe could have set the bar higher to be more ambitious. Hiring, even though we hired the number of people, we hired them a bit later than expected. Our start dates were later than expected, but we did fill the number of roles we expected to. Customer empathy, it's hard to find the opportunities for that. And leveraging the account managers, technical account managers, aka TAMs, might help with that. System usability score, had trouble getting issues prioritized and focused on, and MR rate, as mentioned, was too ambitious. Some things to try, better vision on cross-functional initiatives, reliability and security assigned at the directs level, and the goal is to get to 0, hiring, lots of detail there, which I don't necessarily agree with the notes from my peers, but that's okay, which is just track by different dates. Track by start date rather than accept date. I don't know if that's actually going to help much, but we'll see. Customer empathy, we need to pilot with a smaller team first before rolling out, because everybody tried to do it and we go, wait, it's not successful with what our plan is. So starting smaller might have been better and learning from it. For system usability scores, getting them more prioritized with product earlier, and MR rate, focus on specific team goals and make them more realistic. Like 1 MR improvement per quarter is a lot, aka it's a mouthful. I figured I'd summarize that. What is everybody's thoughts on this? Any impressions? Overall seem reasonable? Sounds like it. I'm gonna move on. OReilly Learn. It's a great learning resource. All books, videos, and conferences from O'Reilly. We're in the process of getting 50 licenses for development. We have up to 100 signups to gauge interest. This is something that Tim was initiated. And there's some more detail from Christopher's staff meeting. Seth, looks like you have a comment.
I didn't know if there was an issue for engineers to sign up and say that they're interested in grabbing a license.
I think that was one of the to be done items. It might be in the link up above. If not, I would ask Tim. But yeah, that's the next thing. I think Sean asked the same question. So where are we recording where the interest is?
Yeah, O'Reilly's a phenomenal resource. So excited to see that we're getting a license for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Lots of interest in that. Anybody want to verbalize E, since I'm talking too much and that one's Thomas's?
Sure. Database decomposition for CI is close to being rolled out. EMs need to check in on this issue to make sure your features won't be impacted.
Good stuff. So I guess I put F in. So there's been some attrition on the database team, and there's an urgent request to all development teams to increase database maintainers and reviewers the DB maintainers are down from 8 to 12, sorry, to 8 from 12. That's a pretty big reduction. So we're looking for more database maintainers. That definitely is more work for the people who do that and takes time away from the teams that they're working on, but it helps GitLab overall. Those teams indirectly and GitLab overall. So Olivier, it looks like you already have a comment.
Yeah, just to repeat what we shared in Slack. This definitely is something we haven't been considered. We had one team member 2 years ago who left the company, was a DB reviewers, but since then, no interest. We've been focusing heavily on the source code maintainership, trying to get a lot of engineers being maintainer of a project, but we have a direction change in composition analysis that put us way closer to the raised monolith, and we would increase our DB usage. So I'll try to push for having a maintainer and a reviewer in CA. We'll see how it goes, but yeah, that will be a great goal for us.
Thanks, Olivier.
We have quite a few database reviewers in Growth. I'll reach out to them and see if anyone's interested in becoming a trainee.
Notes here. So in the hallway, B, so please do a check-in on your OKRs every 2 weeks. I was behind myself. I caught up on mine recently. I noticed earlier in the week that quite a few hadn't had any check-ins at all, or since the beginning of the quarter. So please try to do it every 2 weeks. And I have an updated link for my team here for OKRs, which I'll put at the top of the doc too, since it still says Q1 OKRs. And I heard from Christopher just a couple minutes ago that mine are not linked up to his correctly. So I need to go work on that. And Olivier, it looks like you also have an item here in the hallway.
Yeah, this is related to the above item about the DB maintainers. This has been a recent discussion with the switch of PM's composition analysis and a different approach to prioritization. And the way we were trying to organize that in our engineering team, we have more and more side tasks or additional roles that comes to the engineers and takes time of their job, like the maintainership, being a reviewer, and the interviewer for technical interviews. Yeah. MR coach, etc. So I was curious if this is, I haven't had the opportunity to dive into the working group work so far. I mean, at least just a few of the slides there, but I'm curious if this is a kind of thing that has been considered in the amount of maintenance versus feature work. And this is part of how we should address the prioritization for the engineering team, or do we simply consider that it's a non-classified type of work? But if that's the case, to me, it's an issue because it's hidden work, and then gets that increases the time it takes from engineers out of the roadmap that we put into the milestone every month.
I think it's a consideration for how we structure our teams. You don't want a team with 5 engineers, all of whom GitLab maintainers. They're not going to get anything done at the end of the month. They're going to be busy working on that. Same with interviewers. You don't want necessarily to have your entire team doing technical interviews. That's quite a big ask in terms of time. I think it's something we can discuss internally. Do we restructure teams within under Wayne's org chart so that we've got the right people in the right teams and we've got a good balance?
I'm curious if the 2 lead maintainers, did they both leave for the same reason, or was anything found in the exit interview? Is that team hard to be a part of? Or that role, rather?
I don't know. That's actually a great question for Chun.
I like the idea to balance, but at the same time, the feedback we got recently around promotion, for instance, is that we were increasing the requirement around maintainership up to the senior level, at least, I think. So there is definitely a will from what I can see about having more and more people becoming maintainer. I think there is a questioning about re-adding maintainer as a role responsibility for the engineers. I have an engineer starting to work on a similar concern with the interviewers. Someone has been interviewer for the past 4 or 5 years. They're getting a bit tired of that, and they would like to wind down from that responsibility, similarly to some maintainer, for instance. So I like the idea of having a lot of people with the ability to be a maintainer, but then having a rotation about who is an active maintainer. And this is something we're trying to put together for the interviewers, but they could work for all those kind of added responsibilities, and particularly to have balance within a team. I have currently 3 of my engineers out of 5 in the backend team that are technical interviewers. So that's a lot. And if they get 2 interviews per week, that's taking a lot of time.
In terms of the responsibilities, I mean, I think currently in terms of maintainership, seniors are supposed to be working towards becoming a maintainer. And I know there's talk of changing that, making that more of a strict requirement. But I think that goes back to balancing our teams. You don't necessarily want a team of all senior engineers. If you've got the right balance, you may have 2 or 3 intermediates who are reviewers and a few who are maintainers. We're also looking at loosening the requirements, so it's not just being a maintainer of the GitLab project, which tends to be a big ask, and being more domain specific. That's where I would be heading in terms of teams, in terms of having maintainers on teams, just looking for domain specific. And I think that's particularly relevant for the teams that are insecure. Interviewers, so yeah, I'm told by some of my interviewers that it's up to 6 hours per interview that you're spending, and if you're doing 2 a week, you know, that's quite a big ask. I think we should be rotating team members in and out of that role for that reason, and also because one of the criteria is that the candidate brings something new to the team that you haven't seen before. And I spoke with one interviewer who said he's done, you know, hundreds of interviews over the last 5 years. He said he hardly ever sees anything new anymore. So he very, very seldom gives a strong yes, because he's just not seeing anything new. He's seeing candidates who would be good additions to a current team, but they don't necessarily raise the bar. And all good things, all good discussions, I think, for us to be having in career development conversations with our direct reports. Yeah.
Glad you brought it up, Olivia. Good discussion. It's everything we have on the agenda. See you, everybody. Have a great day.
Bye.